call this meeting to order. Can I get a determination of our quorum?
Carly Borchard,
Here.
Mac Rossi,
Delighted to be here.
Bob Laurie,
Here.
Cameron Kremlich,
Yep.
Joel Martin, and then Veronica Gearhart.
Here.
Oh, perfect.
Hi.
Barbara Finney looks like to be the only absent.
We have to get a bigger desk.
All right, if we could all stand and say the pledge of allegiance.
Here it goes.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
And give it a republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, moving right along with that general public comment. Under this item can be for a limit of 3 minutes per person and make a statement to matters both on and off of the agenda. We will also hear public comment during individual action items. If you have specific questions, you can wait. Do we have any public comment?
I'm up here. Crowd control.
You have Alexis Hill.
Commission.
Good evening, Commissioner.
Good evening, all. I'm so sorry that I'm not there in person. I was just meeting on an issue for tomorrow's board meeting, but I'm leaving the office now. And I know that we have some discussions about the future of how this CAB can get some more excitement and energy for community engagement and making sure that I listened to your input, but I know the team has been working on this, and I'm not sure if Casey is going to be discussing something we're working on.
Great.
So are you coming in person or?
I don't think so.
Okay. Kind of cut out.
Your bandwidth is very low, it's saying, so you're breaking up a little bit. Casey was
I'll
asking-
be on Zoom.
Okay. Sounds like she'll be here. Sounds like.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Mac Rossi for the record. Commissioner Hill, we're glad to see you. We've drawn a heck of a crowd tonight. We've got 4 extra people in the audience, so you're doing great for us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner, did you have any announcements or any other updates that we needed to be aware of? Before we address
I do. For a new year, we are going to be looking at the budget. In January, we'll have a budget workshop. And sadly, there's some tough choices potentially that we will need to be having. Our revenues are not keeping up with expenses because of the tax structure that we are with through the state of Nevada. But we will be having those discussions in a budget workshop in January. So keep your eyes peeled on that to make the priorities of the board known to the staff. And I know that this group in particular had some concerns about the library in Verdi, and I plan to advocate for that library. We're going to have a presentation actually on the library's budget recommendations tomorrow at our board meeting. So my understanding is that they're actually asking for service levels to be the same or potentially added to. We'll just have to see what funding we have, but I will be advocating for that as well. And as far as any other major announcements, we hired Kate Thomas as the new county manager. Her contract will go to the Board of County Commissioners tomorrow, and we're excited to have her on board. She's been the assistant county manager at the county for quite a few years and came from the city of Reno before that. And those are the major items. Oh, we also are looking to purchase new voting machines tomorrow. When you vote, and we'll have a demonstration at tomorrow's board meeting, it will print out your actual ballot. So instead of there being receipts, if folks have voted in person, you'll know what I'm talking about, in like tiny, tiny point font, you'll actually be able to see your ballot full size, and you'll be able to cast it in a ballot casting machine. And so we're really excited about that new system, and we'll be purchasing or leasing a warehouse so we can move the full Registrar of Voters office off of the 9th Street campus to that warehouse location because of all the space we'll need for ballot sorting with mail-in ballots. It's created some space issues with the county, and so that will be a great opportunity as well. But those are the top line things that we're looking at. Still monitoring the federal government, concerned about future grants being cut, and it's something we're all keeping an eye on. And we were really happy that we were able to partner with the food bank, Catholic Charities, and the cities to get out food to people who were not getting their SNAP benefits. That was a real success of a collaboration for such a horrible situation that we were all put in as a community. But I'm glad everyone came together for that. And we're just continuing the good work. So happy to address any questions that you may have for me.
I don't think I have any questions, but thank you very much for being here tonight, and thank you for the updates. Do we have any other comments or questions from the board?
Good evening, Commissioner Hill. Matt Rossi talking. That out of my mouth. A couple of things I'd like to address. One was that you were mentioning about increasing the participation in this CAP to get it going. One idea we've had would made me have to ask you if we can get your approval to help Casey, our gentleman over here, to help us maybe contact HOAs. HOAs seem to be very much involved, and a lot of them don't know that there's such a thing as a CAB. And I think it would be a tremendous, at least introduction to them, and see if we can get more people that way. I'll ask the next question after you answer that.
I think that's a great idea. So I will talk to Casey's manager, but and on capacity, but I think that's a great idea for outreach and something we should add to our arsenal anyway.
Okay, second question. Since they have started to annex more Senate, just flash backward for a minute, into Reno, into the county area, we've kind of lost out on communications with the city now, with developments coming around here, that we're getting some big housing developments, and we don't have the opportunity to either have it addressed or give any input to. And I'm not sure exactly how to do it, because you could probably say, well, be interested, go ahead and just keep contacting the development company. But if there was any way we could get a direct communication so that this development's coming up and we've scheduled it, or we could schedule it for in our schedule to be introduced and to have the public at least address the issue.
Yeah, I think what we like to see potentially, and I don't know what the board thinks of this. I love your input, but I don't know if we can officially discuss it unless it's been agendized. But I'm trying to work with the city of Reno, and so is Casey and his team, on whether there's some joint opportunities for CAB-NAB meetings for major development. And maybe that's the way that we make sure that the county is incorporated in what the city is doing, and the city is incorporated in what the county is doing. So potentially that could be every few meetings during the year to work together on that. And so that's something we're having conversations about right now.
Okay, as soon as you come to some kind of conclusion, we'd love to hear from you.
Absolutely. I think it's just now waiting on the city of Reno and kind of figuring out how we're going, not that we're waiting on them, but how we're going to execute this idea and what that looks like. And so, you know, also want to hear your particular thoughts on that. And so if that's something you think is a good idea and you want to email me as we're exploring it with the city, I'd love your thoughts on that.
Not only a good idea, we really feel like it needs to be done. So we appreciate any help you can give on that. I'll give you back to probably the chairman, and we'll give an opportunity to the audience to ask you questions.
Just a little bit of a follow-up on that, Alexis. Back in 2020, we actually were able to get those meetings set, but then obviously the pandemic hit, and the first one that we were to have got canceled, and then obviously the NAB and the CABs were kind of halted there for a year. So I'm really excited to hear the possibility of bringing that back to the table.
Amazing. If we already started it, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. So that's good to know.
Well, unfortunately we do, because the NAB has completely changed hands. They've got completely new members there now, and obviously a new council member. So it's a completely different program at this point. Do we have any comments from the audience for our commissioner? Any questions?
Come on, we got her over here. Get her with some.
All right, I don't see any, so I think we'll move along with the agenda. But again, thank you very much for being
My
here.
pleasure.
All right, moving on to item number 5, which is approval of the minutes for the meeting of September 16th. Was everybody able to read through them? Were there any comments, questions, concerns? I was mentioning they were very thorough.
Thank you, Chad.
Joel Martin for the record, very thorough minutes. I thought they were great, but just one little stipulation. I motion to amend the minutes of September 15th, 2025 meeting to include the statement regarding my position, where I make a statement at the end. It currently states I live near McQueen High School, and it should be corrected to update to state that I live in the Mayberry Highlands.
Yeah.
Do I have a motion?
Okay, Mac Rossi for a motion to accept the minutes with the amendments.
Cameron Cramlock is second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. All right. The minutes approved with the amendment. All right, we've got public safety update.
No.
Let's fight over it.
Also, you exactly. Do I need that?
You can just talk.
right.
I'm sure you're loud.
Response for the record, Ryan Rizzuto, Battalion Chief for Truckee Meadows Fire. Response statistics through October is what I brought for tonight. 1 fire, 22 EMS, 7 car accidents, 1 hazmat, 4 public assist, and 11 good intent alarms. Total of 46 for that the Verdi area here. A couple of general thoughts from the district, that type of stuff. Open burning is open now for us. All the information is on our website, tmfpd.us. We opened it a little bit different this year for the timing. It now runs. We just opened in November. It's supposed to run until April, obviously when we can, based on weather, as opposed to the 1 week and that type of stuff we did in the past. So hopefully it opens the window up for everybody. Hopefully the weather cooperates. We'll continue to still have those burn days. Couple of public safety plugs. Holiday safety is right around the corner for us. Obviously, turkey fires are a big hazard. Holiday decorations are a big hazard. So keep an eye on our website, our social media stuff. There should be tons of information coming out through our PIO shop. Having some information there. I think this week he's actually come out with another defensible space one. I realize it's kind of not wildland season, but we live in Nevada. It is year round for us. And then last one, shameless plug for the district as well as our Truckee Meadows Firefighter Association. We are doing a Christmas parade / toy drive in the Verdi mobile area December 15th. The route and all the information for that is on our website. If it's not, it will be shortly. But we're doing a big toy drive across a bunch of the districts, but the one for out here will be December 15th.
So are you guys just going to be in the area collecting toys, doing a parade?
I don't have all the details. It sounds like they have a reserve engine that's going to be decorated with lights. The sheriff's department, I think, is going to play. There'll be a trailer and trucks and bodies, and should be a fairly big event. It's not like it, but it's a way to do the toy drive. I don't know where the toy drive is going toward. I think last year we did the wrong home house, should be the same this year.
Okay.
But again, all that information on our website, and hope everyone show up. So they're going to snake.
What's that date again, please?
December 15th. And like I said, tmfpd.us will have all the information and the routes and all that type of stuff for that.
And just one more clarification, the numbers that you just stated, is that for the last quarter, the third quarter?
I apologize. I got the numbers just for October. I can grab the quarter
That's okay.
if you need it.
That's okay. Just wanted to.
I can definitely pull. That was just for October.
Okay.
But if you need it, I can grab it.
Thank you very much.
Well, one question over here, just on some community groups yesterday, I saw it pop up. Was there a fire around Collin Ranch or the Mayberry Highlands? People were taking pictures of something and didn't know if it was lumping in fog or smoke.
If I remember, last couple of days, I think there was a fire City of Reno had in that general vicinity. I think we did send an engine to it. It was early morning, something like that, if I remember correctly. But yeah, there was a relatively small, it was quarter, half acre, something like that. Yeah, I don't think it got big, but there was one in the general area here in Northwest Reno.
Any other questions? Okay.
Good evening, Lieutenant Nick Tone, Washoe County Sheriff's Office. I'm the watch commander for the patrol division on the front side of the week on the night watch. What I got for you guys today, our Q3 data has finally been published. So I got a little bit of updated numbers for you guys specific to the West Truckee Meadows, Verdi region, which we refer to as 6 beat. So dispatch calls for service, which is when somebody calls 911 or asks for our assistance, is actually down a little bit. 3-year average for Q3 is 171, down to 156 for this quarter. However, total calls, total police activity is up almost 50%. So down from 696 sheriff's office deputy activities in Q3 for the 3-year average up to 1,088. What that can be, the reason for that is our deputies self-initiated activity. What we classify as self-initiated activity is traffic stops, subject stops, going down one of the main roads, do something looks suspicious. Basically, police work off of the concept of JDLR. Just doesn't look right. That's why we go out, we do things, stop people, do whatever we need to do to be proactive in communities in the piece we have our deputies assigned. So that is up 50%, and that can be overwhelmingly made up for by deputies being out, hitting streets, and being proactive with their enforcement of various violations. The big changes, increase in crimes, 2 specifically for the West Truckee Meadows area. One of them is destruction, damage, and vandalism. That is almost entirely due to construction. We have the Toll Brothers construction project up there. The same thing on Spanish Springs. You have Harris Ranch and Cinnamon Ridge, Quillisea out here. They're targets. And the victim is almost always the builder. Somebody comes up, they break something, kids throw rocks through windows, steal some stuff, tag some stuff. It's very common for these very large construction sites. And no different out here. So that brought us from an average 5 to 12. But of course, for the last 3 years, that doesn't constitute as large, or that doesn't capture these large construction projects that are fairly new. The one I want to talk about today that I've talked about in all the other tabs, so apologies, you probably did a presentation for me. We have fraud. Fraud in almost all of our beats is a significant fee. Here as well, this fee were from 4 to 12. We've had a triple in fraud calls. Fraud of these particular fraud cases are almost entirely phone fraud, scams, things of that nature. Somebody calls, the most common one is somebody impersonating an authority. Somebody calls, it's either the sheriff's office, it's either the DA's office, the FBI, even the DMV. Whatever government authority saying, you've done XYZ, you owe us money, pay us. The main message we are sending out to absolutely everybody, the means of which they're collecting money, they're not asking for PayPal for the most part. They want you to go down to a Bitcoin ATM, put your money in, send them Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies. There's absolutely, positively not one valid transaction, business or government, that requires the only form of payment to be Bitcoin. Government, no. Nobody will call and ask you to pay us cryptocurrency. Take that a step further, we won't call you to ask you to pay for anything, no matter what it is. If we call, it will be very obvious it's us calling. Hey, your car's out here, it's abandoned, it's going to get towed, will you please move it? We call and ask you if you have maybe some security cameras for something that happened in your neighborhood. It'll be very obvious the deputy sheriff is calling and why. If it's not in person, we're calling or whatever. Now, these Bitcoin ATMs give you a sort of idea of the magnitude of the problem. There's over 1,000 in our area, to include very legitimate places. Costco has them behind the membership because there is a legitimate purpose. Then you can actually go there and legitimately buy cryptocurrency as a, you want to call it a investment product, if you will, as something you can purchase from there for fees. You own Bitcoin, whatever other cryptocurrency. But when you get that wallet number, nobody is going to call you and ask you to pay for it. And I've told this story at almost all the other tabs, so apologies if you've heard it already, but I've had the very unusual, very odd opportunity where a scammer called me, impersonating me. So the best thing you can do with them is obviously just hang up. I had a little fun with them. I kept them on the phone for probably 45 minutes to an hour. And I found that absolutely nothing in the world infuriates them more than wasting it. So that was a good time for me. But one thing I wanted to push on is that we found is very unknown to the public. I guess because having very many campaigns or circumstances for us to share this. But the Nevada Attorney General's office, as well as the Federal Trade Commission, both have programs where if you're the victim of identity theft in any way, so if you or a family member or anybody else, this applies across the board, you can apply to, if they're in Nevada, the Nevada Attorney General's office, you can get a card. And the card will show law enforcement is certified that you're a victim of identity theft. The purpose of this is you bring this card to a bank, to a financial institution or whatever else. It gives an explanation as to why your credit is frozen, your financial life is upside down or off, if you will. The way we do that is if you're a victim of this crime, get hold of us. The Washoe County Sheriff's Office is a certifying agency for this program. Fill out a form from the AG's office, we'll certify it, send it to them, and they'll send you the card. The Federal Trade Commission isn't a card, it's an affidavit. So same exact process. We'll certify that this has happened. You'll get an affidavit from the Federal Trade Commission that says this happened to you, and that's just something you use. So if you have any elderly loved ones, individuals who may even taken advantage of, it's a good thing to have, just in case you need it. And it's very, very simple. It's easy for us as a big check. So if anybody has any questions about that, you can feel free to ask me or call an emergency line. I'm coaching up our entire patrol division, what this program is, because it is a little unusual. But anybody in the patrol division will show up with that form, fill it out, and get you going. Besides that, there was nothing much of note. We stayed very average, down on a couple of things. Besides that, those were the big things of note for Q3 data. Any questions for me?
There's two questions for you, I guess, to keep on that track.
Yeah.
Of course, you know, you hang up on it, go and give them money, but would you recommend alerting you guys or what, any process?
It depends on what it is. If somebody's impersonating us, we do like to know because we track it. There's not much we can do about it, honestly. Every once in a while, you do get somebody local that is partaking because it is a very lucrative scam. Every once in a while, you get somebody that actually meets up in person. That's great. We can arrest the person for that. Typically, though, it's somebody from out of country, out of state, being run out of some organized crime group, and they are elsewhere. So, not always a lot we can do, but if you need a report, you need the incident report to show that it happened. Yes, we can always take that. But for reporting purposes, we absolutely like to know if it's us because they get on social media and they just take us on who they're going to impersonate. So it's good for our knowledge.
Okay. And, second question, I would say it's called North Star Park or the
Yeah.
one down on Mayberry. I noticed that there's a camera now on the entrance there for a particular reason.
So being it's a county park,
Okay.
most of our county parks do have some way, shape, or form of surveillance now, as well as our trailheads. So on that county property, you'll see a number of those cameras up. It's tied to our larger system. So what we use that for is we get College Road Star Park for, I don't know, anything from as minor as possible drug transaction going on or something significant. We had what was it? I think it was vehicle burglary, occupied vehicle. It's not quite an armed robbery, but we towed the line. So we had a burglary of a vehicle and we were able to bring up that camera, look right at it while units are en route. What that lets us do, being it's on public property, is we can get the license plate, identifying features of that vehicle, we can let NHP know because typically we're not too far west of there. NHP will look out for it, we'll come in the area. So unfortunately what happens sometimes before we even get there, find out what happened, we're going this way to the call, bad guys going this way, they drive right by us and we have to catch them here. So give us a little bit of that preemptive intel for us to actually make a stop, find out what's going on, who it is. And if it's a serial issue, we can tie somebody to a whole lot more. So you will see those cameras in a lot of the Washoe County properties, parks, trailheads, things like that.
Any questions? I have a question that's
Sure.
probably not going to be your department, but
Sure.
I figured we might as well address it. This is the wintering range for the mule deer, and right now they are thick. So it's very unfortunate that quite a few have been hit in the last couple of weeks. And I know that there is some confusion on who to call. I'm assuming that is still wildlife.
It is anything. So I came from flying for 5 years, so I'm familiar with wildlife matters. Anything that's mule deer, bear, anything that is not domesticated in nature is always the Department of Wildlife. Now, you don't get as much out here. Horses are a little different. Horses, if they're branded, the brand inspector will come out and they'll come over there and they'll take care of that. We also have a couple of volunteer groups that will come over, Wild Horse Connection, and they can help get horses off the roadway if that's an issue we're running into out here with a few properties that have horses out here. It's more of an issue down south, but anything wildlife in nature is always in town, and they're on call 24/7. So if something happens, that being said, the wildlife piece that we take care of, if there is a deer that's been hit, we will come and dispatch a mortally wounded animal. The sheriff's office will do it, NHP will do it. I have no idea if Reno will do it, but that is something that we will do. And then get hold of roads and then have the animal moved, probably the following day.
Go ahead, we can hold on.
No.
I'm just curious, with this construction, just vandalism, whatever it might be. Have any of these contractors hired a service, a private service to survey the area because they think they can get away with there, then they're gonna be on their homes next, so.
Typically what I've seen, you see those, and it's not at all, so I can't speak for them, but I have seen those trailers and generators and solar panels on them with the big booms that go way high and the blinking blue lights. Those are actively monitored cameras. So I have seen Toll Brothers specifically, but a couple of those trailers out and a number of their properties. They move around. I couldn't tell you if they're there right now, but in terms of private security, I have not seen anybody. private security. That's about the extent of the security that I've seen.
Thank you.
One question, when there is an incident involving an animal,
Mhm.
do you know if anybody keeps like statistics over specific intersections, stretches of road that have more animal activity than others? So that signs and stuff can be put up to alert drivers.
So there's two ways to go about that. So one, yes, that's so every single call for service that we have goes into our thing we call our CAT system, which is what is on that computer you see in our car. Every single, we call it an incident, but every event, doesn't matter if I'm going to get coffee, is assigned a number. Show that something happened, a deputy was out there for whatever reason. So when these calls come in dispatch, they're assigned one of those numbers. What that does for data collection purposes is that is what we use for traffic incidents, accidents, whatever else, wildlife applies as well. Because we do have a classification of call, it's called animal, and then we can break it down by wildlife, dog, barking dog call, or whatever else. We can actually discriminate those calls and actually get some data out of it. NDOW is the same thing, but in terms of signage, most of the roads around here are county roads. So if that is something that we want, what I would recommend is that data does exist. And if there's a specific spot you think that'd be beneficial, if you mention that in 311, what they'll do is send that request in 311. The real human that gets it makes a decision on who's going to get that request. It's going to go probably to me, end up on my desk, but also they're going to send it over to wildlife. They're going to send an email out to NDOW and say, hey, this is what we need. But also they're going to send it to roads and the traffic engineer and the person who's responsible for all the signage. And that's something they'll look at. And if it's totally reasonable and doesn't require any construction, speed bumps, any kind of anything that's going to require a lot of money, odds are you're probably going to get your sign. I've seen it happen a couple of times. But living in the community, typically you guys have a pretty good handle on where those intersections are. So you put that request in and some people have to work out.
Thank you. And as a follow-up, the CAD system in California is public everywhere. Do you know if Nevada ones?
The whole cabinet, because there's a lot of private data that goes into those. So for instance, if I'm out on a call, I will run somebody by very physical descriptors, warrants will come up, social security numbers, whatever. That is something you can get with a FOIA request, but certain information will be redacted. And as an aside, all of us, Truckee, Meadows Fire, us, all the surrounding agencies are switching to a new CAD system next year, maybe. Some points. It's in the works, probably should have been here already, but you know the way things work. So, but yes, that's all FOIA requestable data.
But is there a website like cad.chp.ca.gov, which I use all the time when I drive between here and the Bay Area, because like if there's an accident, it tells exactly the GPS points the accident. So noted, go out there to go to Starbucks and see who's up or something.
So NDOT will upgrade that on their ArcGIS.
Okay.
Yeah, portal. But in terms of actually going to the CAD and have that directly ported over, that might be something available with the new CAD system, because the current CAD, total side note, my dad worked for Reno PD, and he brought the CAD system that we are currently using, the area, in 1993. So, been updated. Sorry, that's my dad's fault. We have that. So, but it's in dire need of an update. We're all doing that right now. Cool. So that very well may be something on the horizon.
I have one question.
Yes.
I was in Alaska for a long time. When an animal was hit by a car, then you called, I don't know what you call somebody, and then a group would come out and harvest the animal and feed it to the neighbor or neighbors. We do that here?
No. Not that I'm aware of, but I would ask NDOT. Because Department of Wildlife, if there's any programs such as that, I imagine there's some consideration for how long it's been there, if they can prove it.
But if you just hit it and you have to, buy applicants of others or buy wood and kill the animals or suffer, then someone can come and harvest it. You can damage.
And I know that I do know that NDOT has a place where they bring all the animals that were hit. They're obviously done bad. But in terms of if they're fresh enough, that I do not know. I would say either NDOT or NDOT would be more appropriate. Yeah.
Thankfully, that's not him.
Will you state your name for the record?
Oh, Jean Grant.
Lieutenant Bob Laurie, thank you for being here. Several questions. Any significant threats against or vandalism of energy infrastructure?
No, not in our agency. If a report was made to another one, I'm not 100% sure, but not anything that's come to us. Typically, if we have something that is for energy, which would include FAA sites, any federal sites that can fall under critical infrastructure, a lot of the sites have been brought after the 2001 attacks. A lot of these sites were put onto lists of critical infrastructure for terrorism targets, that type of thing. Typically, we have an incident, which we have in the past at FAA sites that are out in the rural areas. We'll contact Homeland Security and FBI. We'll take an initial report, and then the investigation gets handed to them with a bow, and they take it from there. But in terms of anything local for energy,
Under federal regulation, relatively new federal regulation, energy and energy and federal utilities are now obligated to significantly physical security on their people.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions? You have anything, Marcel?
No hands online.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Of course.
Appreciate you being here. All right, moving on to item number 7, which is the Closely Ranch Clubhouse.
And then I'm gonna point you on the screen to that. Okay, for the video.
Yep. you can-
Okay.
Just let me know when you need me to change slides.
Okay, good evening. My name is Chris Coombs and I'm here representing the applicant, which is Toll Brothers in this case. As you guys have talked about already, across the freeway here, Toll Brothers is currently developing their Quilcy Ranch project. And that was an approved tentative map back in 2021. It is in the city of Reno, but it is also a part of the Mortenson Garson Overlay District, which one of the standards within that district is that applications get presented to both the city NAB and the county CAB. So that's why we're here tonight. As a part of that original tentative map, there was an amenity site discussed within that application, knowing that at some point in the future, they would have to come back when they had a more defined idea of what that amenity site was going to look like. So Casey, if you could go to the next one, I'd appreciate it. Okay. By you guys. All right, so here we've got obviously Interstate 80, and this is the Quilcy project here on the south side of the freeway. The clubhouse site that we're looking at is right here. And Toll Brothers currently has kind of this lower half, this northern half of the project built or under construction. So this application tonight is a combination. There's a couple things that we're applying for. The first is a major site plan review. And the reason behind that is because both by city code and the overlay district, it's often called the MGOD. So if I say MGOD, that's what I'm referring to. Any site that has slopes greater than 15%, or I'm sorry, greater than 30%, greater than 15% has to have a major site plan review. And then also we have fills over 10 feet on this site. So while we're here, the second is a conditional use permit under city code. This clubhouse is considered a country club private, which is defined as a facility used for recreational or athletic purposes, with limited membership for the use of which is primarily restricted to members and their guests. So those are the reasons behind the two applications we have. All right, Casey, you can go to the next one, please. So this is the site here, right at this location. We'll get to the grading plan in a little bit, but there's kind of a high point off of Quilcy Meadows Drive, which is built. And this is the site as it's going to lay out. This vicinity map is oriented north. So you guys are familiar enough with this area, but this clubhouse is based generally in a northern direction, almost due north. Okay, next slide, please, Casey. We had to flip it to fit it on the screen, but the site itself has, it's 5.7 acre site. And there are two buildings that we're going to be proposing here. The first building is this main building here, the main clubhouse. It's 9,500 square feet in total. There's kind of two components to it. On this side here is a 1,700 square foot clubhouse area that they're calling it. It's going to have things like it's a social lounge. You know, there's going to be an indoor-outdoor bar area, fireplaces, seating. They're going to have 2 indoor golf simulators, and then a staging kitchen for catered events. And I just want to point out the bar that they're describing here isn't a bar that's open daily. It's something that you could use if you have a rented out facility. It's more of kind of a as needed basis. The other side, this area over here, the other side of the building is a 1,100 square foot multi-purpose room that's more suited to children, teens, and families. There's going to be things like game tables, billiards, video games, and there is also a smaller kind of residential style kitchen that can be used if you wanted to rent that area out. And then the center of the building here, kind of a glassed off atrium area. We'll see when we get to some pictures. That's going to be the welcome desk. There's going to be some offices for the HOA staff, things like that. The second building is this over here on the other side. They're calling it a fitness barn. It's 5,700 square feet in total. 3,500 square feet of that is going to be kind of an indoor gym area where they could do things like pickleball courts, half-court basketball, hold fitness classes. And then there's also going to be about a 1,500 square foot fitness center with cardio equipment, free weights, things of that nature. Then on the outside, we've got, this is a large turfed area that you can use for sporting events, you'd say, whether it's, you know, locally to the thing. And then there's also an outdoor tennis court and a couple outdoor pickleball courts. At this point, why don't you go to the next slide, please, Casey? So this is a grading plan here. The area where we get into the fills over 10 feet that triggers is kind of over here. You can see the high point. There's sort of a high point that goes right here, and they're setting it right on top of it, but there are some fills over on that edge. All right, Casey, let's go to the next one, please, which is just a close up of that. And then the final, let's go to some elevations. So you guys can see what they're proposing this to look like. Casey, go to the next slide, please. All right. So this is looking at it from the street area. This is your main building. Over here is kind of the social area that they were talking about. This is the multi-purpose room, and then this is the central annex and the fitness barn. You can see the turf area in the back, the other courts on the outside. Next slide, please. This is the same buildings, but from the opposite side. So you can see the rendering of the parking lot. The back side, you can see some of these outdoor patio areas they're talking about. There's going to be, you know, fire pits, things of that nature. The other side of the barn. And then final slide. That's just looking straight at it from the parking lot, kind of the front of it, if you will. A little bit more information about it. The clubhouse itself is expected to be open between 7 a.m. and 10 p.m. The fitness barn area is going to be open 24 hours with a key fob to the residents. They anticipate to have 3 full-time employees, some part-time employees, and then things like janitorial and landscape will be third-party hired. So that's kind of generally the information I got. You guys have any questions? I'm happy to answer. Should I stay here, or is it better if I go? No. Okay.
Mac Rossi for the record. How many homes are able to join this club, or any outside people able to join?
The Quilty project in total was approved for Yes, thank you. 1,225. So that would be there, that would be the eligible homes for it. And it's only open to residents of the Quilcy project because their HOA dues pay for it. Now, if somebody not who wasn't a member of the community wanted to go perhaps rent one of these rooms out for an event they would like to pose, I think they'd be open to that.
The reason I'm asking is that I noticed that just to the side with all the elevation looks like either high or low or anything. There's no app for additional parking because I can only roughly count about 50 cars that can show up there.
There are 63 spaces provided. And yeah, 51 are required by code.
I don't add up, so.
Yeah.
Okay, you don't think that's sufficient for this time of clubhouse?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we're over more, we're 12 more than code requires, so it is over parked to a certain degree. And for the most part, it's parked for what it's going to see, you know, on its mostly daily use.
Okay, that was the reason I was asking was if the daily use got to be more, you really don't have an opportunity to expand your parking, looks like.
Not on the site as it sits now, no. But Toll Brothers does own the property adjacent as well at this point. So if it came to that.
Upon completion of the development, who will own the facility?
That's a good question. I don't have a definite answer for you. Perhaps the HOA who's going to be running the project at that point might be the ownership. I do know on the Toll Brothers has a project down in South Meadows that we worked on, and the clubhouse itself is still owned by a Toll Brothers entity, but the HOA kind of runs it and takes care of it.
Reason for the question, the owner of the facility and the surrounding land would be responsible for any drainage issues that may arise in the future. So the question is under the terms of the conditional use permit, and I don't know if proposed conditions have been presented yet, but has there been any discussion of the developer being responsible for supplying any kind of bonding to be responsible for drainage issues that may arise in the distant future? Drainage issues are very expensive and are also litigated extensively. And so I'm wondering what the developer's responsibility is going to be going forward. Any thoughts about that?
Well, there's a couple things going on. I mean, as it pertains to this presentation, the only drainage issues that would apply to this would be on the site itself. So whoever owns and maintains this clubhouse area and the parking lots, that would be tasked with taking care of that. Now, relative to the whole project, this is a small piece, which from a drainage standpoint isn't going to really impact it much. Project-wide, it's a combination of public and private drainage facilities. All of your pipes and catch basins and things like that that are in the ground within a right of way are going to be owned and maintained by the city of Reno. Anything outside of that, whether it be ditches, open space, things that will be all owned and maintained by the Quilcy Ranch Community Association. I believe they're on. Down the road, I mean, they've got several years before they get to that point because they've got to build it out and hand parts of it over, but it will be an HOA managed issue. As far as bonding goes, there's really no bonding that they put up towards it, but they are under heavy scrutiny by the Nevada Division of Environmental Protection. Their Division of Water Resources program has gotten to be very strict over the last couple of years, especially with good reason. You know, I mean, stormwater quality is an important issue, and they've been keeping a close eye on this. And Toll Brothers spend a lot of time and money on stormwater management.
Reason for the question, I'm on the board of the Sierra Canyon HOA, which is the Del Webb community.
Sure.
Which was approved 20 years ago, and the regulations were not as strict. And the drainage issues affecting the homeowners are very significant, and it's gonna be the cost of the HOA. So, the reason for my question and concern.
Matt Rossi for the record. Kind of strange that the HOA would be monitoring it, but it's a private clubhouse, so with their monitoring it, are you gonna be, is it gonna get to the point where you have to be mandatory to get into the management portion?
Of the clubhouse specifically you're talking about? I can't speak to that. I don't know the fine details of how it's gonna be managed or operated once built. That would be, and I should say, I don't work for Toll Brothers. I'm actually the engineer on the project, civil engineer, so I know a few things, but not a bunch about the operation of it.
Yeah, and thank you.
Couple questions.
Sure.
Can we go back to the initial slide? That shows kind of the entire project. The first question would be, this isn't in place of either of the parks that were to be.
No, both parks are still a part of the project.
So, back in 2021, I know that this, I believe it's the same site that we were discussing to be reserved and discussed later. The main reason for that was the big concern was that we need more services out here in this area. We don't have an official store. We don't have, we've got a couple gas stations, but we don't have services. There's no laundromat. There's no dry cleaner. There's barely, we do have a hairdresser now, but it would be nice to have some more options. And that was very expressly stated by the community at large, that south side being built out, having no services, really needed to focus on. So I know that I believe it's the site was reserved for those potential services. So I'm just.
So it won't pull up.
I can show you, yeah.
I guess. The big concern that I personally have is that Boomtown does actually have some reserved lots that they're trying to bring in commercial services, and they're just not getting very much interest. I don't know if that's due to cost. I don't know if that's, I don't know the particulars on why more services aren't being offered, but I do know that once 3,000 new homes come to this area, we're going to be hurting for additional resources.
Sure.
You generally services will follow the population growth and not precede. So the demand is going to be in the future where there's no space now available.
Precise.
So the challenge is, if you reserve it, you're asking the developer to hold it because there's going to be a future demand for it.
Which was the idea behind reserving this area. So it's just my concern, I guess, just for what it's worth. I'm quite positive that this is the parcel that was being reserved for those services.
So within the Quilisi project, and this line right here is the project boundary. These lots that you're seeing kind of up here on the hillside are often included because there are some lots. But this is actually the reading 120 tentative map. So I can't speak to that tentative map. This site here has always been slated to be it's amenity and multifamily on the tentative map. But this triangular piece right here is zone neighborhood commercial. So that might be what you're thinking of, is that's the only parcel within the actual Quilisi property that is future commercial.
Yeah.
No, this little piece right here is toll.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, they own this piece here, and then they actually own this section. It's kind of strange ownership. So they own that little corner of lots up there too.
Okay, gotcha. Great.
Go ahead.
Cameron Graham, for the record, one of the services that I would most like to see as someone who lives here is access to a fitness facility. And as you're developing this, find ways for people who not live or develop to be able to pay to use the facility. It's something that I'd be very interested in.
Okay, I'll pass that along. Sure.
one of the many conversations as well amongst the community members for the parks. And that was one of the big pushes that Toll said that they would like to bring in for the community as a whole, not just for their development. And mainly because there's a school site or a new elementary that is estimated over there. So it is going to be, you know, more of the community outside of just this development utilizing that site. So I would echo that and applaud them for allowing other members to participate.
Yeah, the park site, so this kind of half circular site right here, that is a community park site in a city park,
Right.
You know, and these are all public streets and it's a, you know, it's an open community. It's not gated or anything. That square piece, that's the school site you're referring to. Toll Brothers also dedicated kind of down in this area here, about 10 acres if memory serves. It might even be larger for a regional park site. So the city has that option to take that. And within the BT South or the Meridian 120, there's also a park site allocated for that. So.
Okay, great.
Question. You may not be able to answer this, and we are not part of the city portion anymore. Both Carter and I were on the neighborhood advisory board for the city of Reno, and we went through quite a bit with Somerset. It's not Somerset, but Del Webb's development, where these are all city streets now. Am I correct?
Yes, correct. Yep.
And one thing that has to be addressed, and I'd like to have it go on the record, whether it's with the city or the county, snow plowing. We went through a major event with snow plowing because over at Del Webb, they wanted to come into every court, everything else, and quite a bit and keep it with the major major streets. And I just want to address it to make sure that when these properties are sold, they don't think they're going to get a promise of every one of their front yards is going to be plowed. So just on the record for that, because I got a funny feeling it's going to come up. So good luck.
Sure. Yeah, I agree with you. Okay, understood.
Can you show me what the school site?
Yes, it's this kind of square rectangular piece right here.
That's square.
Correct.
Veronica, here on like Hill Lane behind the bridge, and you look up towards the development, there's a very large pile of dirt that's over 10 feet. That is the site of the parking school, just to orient yourself. You know, there's that escape road. And then where that large pile is the open space where the park is.
County Lorraine Director. Within the MGOD, and could you address some of the dark sky lighting, if it is an aspect of this park, and also native vegetation, replanting, and the slope, as far as like your timeline that you're managing?
Sure. Okay, as far as the lighting goes, it is city code requires out here, it is dark side lighting, so it's all going to be shielded and downcast lighting. As a part of this application, which will get submitted here, there's going to be a photometric plan that outlines kind of the light spread, if you will, at night. That's going to be submitted sometime this week, I believe. So, and lighting wise throughout the project, Toll's been pretty sensitive to that. I mean, on top of the dark sky lighting, they're trying to really not light it up more than they really have to. And city code requires street lights at things like intersections and stuff like that. So outside of that, they're really trying to keep it pretty dark. Revegetation wise, they are going to, after the grading's done, but while they're still building the site, the building and the parking lot, things like that, they'll go and they'll hit that slope with just kind of a native seed mix to get things started. And then after they get all the landscaping in, once they get to kind of like the next step of site landscaping, things like that, they've got a lot of, a tremendous amount of landscaping they're doing on site. And at that point, they'll also come back in and they'll usually hit the slope again with some more re-veg, just try and give it another extra pop, if you will. As far as native vegetation goes, the Quilcy project does have there's a vegetation and wildfire management manual that we presented. So the types of plants, different species, things like that, not only them being native to kind of this area itself, but generally fire resistant or effective, as much as a plant can be. We're not planting things up there that are bad from a fire regard. So that's.
Yeah, I think just to follow up to that question, setting it up for success as far as the fire-wise community status, because that does have an impact on insurance and proximity to fire-wise communities. So I'm very interested in working with that.
Okay. Okay, yeah, community-wide, the management plan that was prepared has things like you're talking about, safe spaces on the edges of villages, because a lot of these villages will back up to native areas. And so that identifies not only what sort of plants should be in there, but what kind of clearing should occur, seed mixes that are better versus, and from a fire standpoint than others. And the HOA, I haven't been a part of these meetings, but I hear through discussions with Toll Brothers, the HOA has been paying very close attention to that because you're right, a lot of communities in town that have had kind of fire prevention built into the budgets, they've discovered it hasn't been enough, and so a lot of this fire prevention activities, whether it's clearing out, things like that, some HOAs in town just haven't been able to pay for it the way they need to truly be fire effective. Toll Brothers is really trying to make sure they're on top of that from the get-go here.
One more question. Sorry, Mac Rossi for the record. While you're talking about fires, that development there is about 1,200 homes, a little over, the same as Del Webb's development. Del Webb only has 2 access in case of a fire. They're not too apt as much of a fire as maybe this development would be. How many exits can all these people get out of in case of an emergency?
Well, there are 2 kind of formal access points into it. There's the Boomtown Garson on-ramp, off-ramp right here. And then they're actually just building right now. It's pretty close to being done. Secondary access point off of, I can't remember the name of the road back there. Exit 3. Okay. Yeah, so it comes up here. Those are your 2 main points of access into the community there.
Kind of tight.
We've kind of gotten off your specific clubhouse.
I figured you guys weren't going to be all that interested in the clubhouse.
Question, sure. And going back to the native vegetation and just vegetation in general, another kind of extensive conversation was this is where the mule deer actually winterize, this site. Sure. It was discussed at length with wildlife and that herd's probably just going to be decimated by this particular development. But they were suggesting that with the right migration corridors and the right kind of forward thinking, that some of the vegetation that the deer actually are going for could be grown in certain areas that are safer and kind of keeping them out of front lawns, off the roads, that sort of idea. Just want again kind of mention it to bring it back to life because I think that now is a good opportunity to suggest it.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I'm not an expert in either of these things, but I can tell you that in addition to the sort of the wildfire vegetation management plan they had to put together, there is also a wildlife mitigation totally separate document put together, but it does have things in there like vegetation that can be grown throughout here and ways to help with the patterns and things like that. Division of Wildlife was heavily involved with the kind of construction of that document, and they they review everything that happens here. We have to submit it to them and they pay attention to it.
So since those management plans were available a couple of years ago, are they accessible to us as the public?
I can't see why not, but I don't, they're not my documents, so I need to ask. I mean, they're public record. The city has, 1,000 copies of them each. So I would assume they're public record and available to the public, but, very definite yes or no, I'd have to think.
Okay, great.
What's the value of the houses, what they're gonna list for?
I don't know off the top of my head. They currently have 2 villages under construction. Village 8 right here is their first kind of village that will be built out. I've been told they're selling these very well, and there's some amazing views off here off this, Forest Service rent. And then over here, Village 17, Unit 1, this kind of here, they're under construction there too. That's a little bit more kind of your standard lot and block. I wouldn't be surprised if these houses over here, just market wise, were, I'm just totally guessing here, but 600,000-700,000 starting, and then these are going to be more expensive over here. These are bigger lots, better views, everything.
Going back by the way, on their website, at least from what I saw, it was upper 800,000 plus.
Yeah.
Okay. So all the homes in that community, I could be wrong. 3 questions for you. Starting off, I guess, to echo what we're saying in the audience, landscaping around it, is it going to be zero scape? What are we thinking? Native plants? What's the landscaping around the apartments?
Around the clubhouse, okay. We go back to one of the elevations. I mean, not zero scape per se. Toll Brothers likes to, they're not afraid to spend money on their clubhouses around town. So they really landscape these things pretty extensively. They will be area specific plant species though. And I know the city of Reno, one of their comments, they actually had them do some revisions to kind of the landscaping in there. Not a landscape guy, so I can't speak to it, but that's what it's. Yeah.
And then the second question, I can't remember sewer or septic for this whole project.
All sewer, all city of Reno public sewer, yeah.
Okay, and the other one, I don't know the city solar panels on top. Is there any plans to have solar on there or anything?
I can't speak to that. I'm not sure.
If and when the CBP is issued, they will have conditions attached. Have those conditions been presented or published? Have they been drafted? What's the status of those? Do you know?
They haven't been published or given to us. The city may have, I'm sure the city has a list going on their side that they're going to present. But where we're at now, formally with the application, is we submitted it and we got the first round of comments back from the city just last week. And so now we're going to go back and we're going to revise the application to address those comments. We'll resubmit. And usually at that point is when the city will come forward with kind of their thoughts as far as what final conditions are going to be applied.
So what body has the authority to approve a conditional use permit? Is it just planning commission or does the council approve conditional use?
It stops at planning commission unless appealed. Yeah.
But that date has not yet been since.
It has been December 17th, I believe, planning commission.
That just that soon. If and the proposed condition is what needs to be reviewed for those who have any questions. So those who have an interest should make inquiry of the city what status of the proposed conditions on for the CBP. They'll make it public for the hearing, but by then it's too late to really turn.
Well, also, anything goes to the planning commission, goes to the city council for final approval.
But only an appeal, right?
We don't have to present council. It might go to a consent agenda item on the council. I can't remember off the top of my head. But we're done. Yeah, if we get approved at planning commission and nobody appeals it, then it's approved.
Conditional use permit, the planning commission has the final authority unless. Sure, that's pretty common because this is just a conditional use permit.
Okay,
And that's all.
and we should be standing corrected in that, but I'm not sure on that one. Okay, thank you.
All
Right,
right, any other questions? Comments, concerns?
quiet group tonight.
See, there's no swimming.
No, I don't even think they have one in Door, if memory serves.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
One last question for you. Are you going to be involved with if and when the neighborhood commercial moves forward, would you be representative for that as well, possibly coming back to us?
Possibly. I mean, it all depends on timing. I mean, Toll Brothers is busy with all the stuff they're doing right now, but if an outside party came in and talked to them and said, I want to buy this piece and build, whatever, it could be the kind of thing where it could happen pretty quick, or it could be years down the road. I'm not sure.
Thank you again. All right, moving on to item number 8, which is the neighborhood development hub and other engagement opportunities.
All right, hello, Casey McDonald for the record, Office of the County Manager, Commissioner Support Division. Just a few little updates, and if you have questions on how to reach any of these pages I show you, go ahead and ask afterwards. As far as developments, nothing in this specific area, but there is a District 5 Silver Hill specific plan standards handbook neighborhood development meeting that's going to be Zoom only, and that's going to be on the 18th of November. So if you live in if you have any friends or family in Silver Knolls or any of that far North Valley's kind of district area, you can go ahead and attend that online. As far as board and commission openings, Open Space and Regional Parks Commission closed last Friday for applications. And so my understanding is they'll be selecting the applicant in a December BCC meeting. And then there's an Emergency Medical Services Advisory Board opening that looks like the term is going to be from December 18th of this year to December 17th, 2029. And that's for it's like a hospital quality improvement representative. So if you feel like you fit those requirements, I'm sure there's like specific requirements for that one. Go ahead and apply to that. We still do have our community input on our engage page. Verdi does not get any of them. So please, if you have things you would like to see at future CAB topics as we try to get better at building out going forward into the year, submit things that you would like to see at those CABs there. Right now, working on trying to get Tumwa and a few other entities to a future CAB meeting to talk about things Carly and I have emailed about. So trying to find who we can get for those. But yeah, any other topics that are of interest to you, please bring them. You can get to the community input portals. You can scan the QR code on the agenda that you can find over on the table over there. And that's the easiest way to get to those. And other than that, if you want to know what's going on in your community, if you go to the Washoe County BCC index page, you can sign up to receive district news. And reasons this might be important is with our CABs, what we are also looking to do is highlight other CABs as we get a lot of, like, say, repeat topics like maybe RTC. And instead of having a representative come out to every single CAB, trying to highlight, you can zoom into these CABs, you can go to them in person and ask questions and get feedback and bring it back to your CAB as well. If there are any of interest that may come up in the future, I'll try and email the CAB as a whole and say, hey, Spanish Springs has this project here. So that's one thing we're going to try and start doing. So it's very good, in my opinion. I definitely want to subscribe to other district lists. Even if you don't live there, you may get updates that affect you or may be of interest to you. Otherwise, that's all I have.
Question, Casey, is there a list of all the cabs and the nights that they meet in time?
Yes, if you go to, if you go to the index page and click on citizen advisory boards, there's this, you can see all the different ones. And so you can click on Gerlach and see meeting schedule 6 p.m. every month, second Thursday.
All right, thank you.
If you want to drive out there, you can go to.
Any other questions before I move on to item number 9, which is staff member commissioner announcements and requests? I would like to formally welcome and introduce, if we could, is it Veronica? Yeah, Veronica.
Do you want to say anything, Veronica?
Sure. Veronica Gerhardt, for the record. I've lived in Verdi now for 5 years. I used to live in the Verdi Lake Estates community, and now I'm up off of Hill Lane. And I have 3 young children that are 7 under, so I'm very engaged with the elementary school next door. And we utilize the library space a lot. And I've recently been involved in the library and the school and felt motivated to be here to help represent that community. There's a lot of voices that want to be heard but don't know how to be, and a lot of people that want to be involved. And I think that connection and being able to bring that population into these meetings as well will be really important soon. So awesome, really great news.
Welcome, and our cabin getting bigger. We keep adding another table, so next time you have a table over there for you, so you don't have to hold. Welcome.
But it's also a tradition that the newest member written donuts.
Oh.
Nobody else has followed through with it, so.
Do we have any other announcements, any future agenda request items?
2 announcements. First off is a follow-up on the sheriff. Something that everybody should do is freeze their credit. It's quite easy to do. All you need to do is go to the credit ratings agencies, whether it's Experian or TransUnion or the like, and you can freeze your credit for free. Then unfreeze whenever you want to open up your line of credit. And I think that's best practice for people that don't worry about it. Secondly, I was speaking to some folks from Renown, and they're doing a study for looking at expanding their coverage in West Reno. They're doing a survey, and it's at bit.ly/Washoe CHA Renown.
Renown.
Right. They're doing a study to figure out where they should invest resources to, potentially have a clinic here or, have more space for physicians or that type of thing. They're looking at the whole county, trying to figure out, like, hey, in the next budget cycle, where would they want, where should they invest to be? West Truckee, Meadows, in Verdi, or North Valley, or elsewhere.
Great.
And so for those of us who live here, if we can submit to the survey, really build to a pretty good already having in place in terms of how they budget things and budget for the next 5 years.
Can you repeat where that survey
Just
is at?
so bit.ly/Washoe CHA.
That'd be great.
Keep in mind that Renown is more than happy to do it until Kaiser Permanente possibly takes over.
Well, Kaiser's buying help.
Great. I think a couple of things worth noting and putting on our future agenda items. I wouldn't mind NDAP coming out and doing a presentation for us. I've seen that most of our deer herd is tagged at this point, and I wouldn't mind getting some updates on numbers, what the population is, how many we've lost already this year. I know I've personally seen 2 babies die within the last couple of weeks. And there's been quite a few others hit. So I would just like to know what the status is and whatever they can share. And then following along with that, it's come up at the last couple meetings, signage. We don't have any deer crossing signage, and there are some very specific spots that they do cross. So that got brought up again tonight. I think that would be worth I don't know if that's something that I just need to pursue personally with, the sheriff and
Not positive, but
the traffic engineer. I think I'll probably try to pursue that, maybe give an update in January, and we meet again.
One background for the record, one internal question. I took it upon myself to send a letter to Commissioner Hill to invite her to the meeting. I made clear that wasn't a majority of us, but I'd like to follow through with the letter now from all of us, following what she just stated. If I can get the approval on that, I'd sure appreciate it.
Is that within city quorum rules?
it doesn't sound like it was agendized, but I don't know. If you guys want to add,
I would definitely advocate for you to do so. I think it's really beneficial to even just the 5 minutes that
Do
we
we
took.
need to vote on it or just a mutual agreement?
you're asking the wrong person. I would maybe just vote on it just to be safe. But
Less than has been agendized, we can't vote on it, but we could all say like.
Good point.
if you
Okay. Fair enough, thank you.
Okay.
We'd love to get a copy before it goes
We
out. I heard.
so you
still working on a couple other items as well. Last meeting, an important topic was brought up that I kind of pushed off to the individual HOA. But after thinking about it a little bit more, I felt that it was important to bring it to light. So we would like to have a presentation on the River Oak water issue that they're having, because it does actually extend out into the rest of the community, which also brings into question our fire services. We do now have some fire hydrants in the area, but there's some question to the water service and just everything that has to do with fire, including insurance that's being canceled. So with that being said, we're looking to find the appropriate individual or individuals that can come out and give a presentation on that. So I'll be giving the
and I
update.
have contacted the director of Tumwa and Washoe County CSD's engineering department as well. So getting those balls rolling.
Right. And I think that's it.
Only announcement, I just want to make sure everyone knows that because of Martin Luther, I think there's a holiday in January, so the next meeting will be on January 20th. That's a Tuesday.
We weren't able to move it to a different Monday, so hopefully everybody can make that. If you can calendar it now.
Same place, same station.
Yes. Okay. Are there any other comments on this item? Sure.
I just had a topic that I thought would be possible to bring up. And I think in the past, I worked with the Tahoe Pyramid Trail a little bit. And I know that they have come to a meeting before, but they've switched hands and they have had two separate executive directors since then. And they are constantly battling for bike paths here specifically. And I think it would be worth, especially with the new development coming in, having them come back in and know we exist and it's something that we want, and that if they need signatures or this education with our community, that we're a good place to go. So maybe inviting them back in.
Absolutely. I'm sorry, who were they?
The Tahoe Pyramid Trail, their bike path.
And it would be really lovely to get them in connection with having RTC coming back in regards to the multimodal study, because part of that study included trails and connectivity with pedestrians and bikes. So I think that would be a great opportunity to maybe get the right people at the right table.
And Cameron, for the record, when we do that, my understanding is the Truckee Meadows Water District sold a whole bunch of property in the Truckee River Canyon in private buyer. And I would love to know, will that property remain accessible as part of the Pyramid Trail? Or will this, it's the area around Fairbanks, was sold for like $100,000 for 50 acres, very strange. Without related disclosure.
Right.
And the Pyramid Trail goes right through there. And if that area was removed from the public, it would be a significant detriment to the Pyramid Trail. So
I don't think they can take that. That's an established right of way.
I don't know.
Yeah. So anytime you have a right of way that's established, trail, that takes precedence. I can't take that. If I bought that property, that's the use, and it could come out.
Although we have had a couple of issues with trailheads and other items out here specific to West Meadows. Yeah, there was public access that we had to actually fight to retain because they blocked it off with big boulders, rocks, so people couldn't get through anymore. But that was a private developer, so it's just something that we should stay aware of and be knowledgeable of. But it's also kind of an opening to reaching out to Tahoe Pyramid Trail as well, just as far as their presentation and discussion items.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to general public comment. Again, this is the same as at the beginning. If anybody has anything that they would like to address on or off the agenda.
I just have a question.
Okay.
Every time you drive past the where the commercial buildings are on the side, on Highway 40, it's here in Verdi. And then you go past that and it always smells like a skunk.
Yeah.
What is that?
That would be marijuana. That Wells Manufacturing is actually a medical marijuana facility. They're actually amazing individuals and they are producing very high quality medication. They've actually come to our meetings. Yep, that's what it is. And unfortunately, they claim that we would never smell it, but you certainly do.
If you look like you didn't drive by.
We've actually had them at a couple of our meetings, specific when we're getting their permits and considering that location. And I can't speak highly enough for the individuals that run that facility. So maybe if that's of interest in the future, we can have them come back as they expand.
Although I know what Wells is.
Yes. Yes.
So if you have any charitable groups that you're looking for funds on, you might just filter over that way.
Any comment?
Okay, no, I also am serving my first few meetings with the NAB Reno for like, so NAB has been there a couple times, we told me about this week, so I decided to attend. And so with regard to making recommendations to get some kind of a joint process of motion development, I will put that to the agenda on NAB. And then, and again, with regards to signage, the deer signage, because I feel the same way. There's a deer signage, but it's quite like cozy cattery, like it's across from there. It's not even down to where, you start to get to my favorite. So I was planning on breaking that up as well. So I just wanted to know that.
Great. Yeah, I attended your guys' last NAP meeting, just virtually. I couldn't make it to the actual meeting, but you guys did great. And I'm very encouraged by how many people signed up. And yeah, you've got some great candidates filling this position. So.
Councilman Reed, Reese, I mean, not that I'm promoting him by no means, but he's having this Thursday, I believe. So is that? I mean, at Delaware. Yeah, whatever it's worth. But keep in mind he's running for election, so he's very much concerned all of a sudden.
Okay, I don't see any hands up. Do we have any other public comments? All right, I'm going to go ahead and close general public comment. And
Madam Chairman, I make a motion that we adjourn.
get a second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay, or say it by yourself.
Thank you for your attendance.